Hello and welcome to the first episode of the first season of Basketball at its Finest. I am your host, Drew here. We have Max Drover. I'm calling him right now. So, we're just going to talk some basketball. I hope you tuned in to Baseball at its Finest because I really enjoy doing that show. And we're going to do the same thing, but for basketball. Because guess what? Baseball's over. So, what's up, Max?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. Alright. Let's start with recapping a couple games here. This is a throwback to baseball, but we're going to recap a couple games. We got the Pelicans over the Knicks. 129-124.
That was a good game.
Yeah, the Pelicans stole the game in the fourth quarter. They played terribly in the first quarter. Spent the rest of the game catching up.
That is true. And that is what I like about this game. They try their best to win the game. That's all you gotta do. Good game for the Pelicans and the Knicks.
It's a really good game by the Knicks, considering they were 4-11 coming in. I think Kevin Knox needs to shoot more. I mean, this is the future. Well, it's part of the future. And he did not play, or he played 21 minutes and had 11 points on 4 of 9 shooting. He needs to fire away a little more, I think.
Yeah, Hardaway, bro. Isn't that 30 points per run?
Yeah, Hardaway went off. The difference between, there's a difference between the two of them, though, because one of them's good, the other one's not, so it's more impressive what Tim Hardaway did.
Yep. And let's get into another game. Let's get into the Raptors and the Celtics. This game went into overtime.
This game was an amazing game.
Yeah. 123-116. Boston took the win of that one. Now let's look at the stat board, shall we? Kyle Lowry at 14 points. Kawhi at 31. And over there for the Green, you got Gordon Hayward, he made 15. And Kyrie Irving made 43. And Jason Tatum made 21. Good game for both teams. Won in overtime, so both teams give a little bit fight. I mean, this team went off. I mean, when you look at it, Kyle Lowry and Kawhi stepped up for the Raptors because they both had 43 points. And Serge Ibaka, the center, scoring 34.
Yeah.
I mean, you love to see that.
This team went off offensively. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you just love to see that. It's a great game of basketball to watch.
That was a great game. So, is it just me or does Kyrie still kind of look like Uncle Drew?
He does, for sure.
I mean, like, I know he kind of always did because he is Uncle Drew, but like, especially now, just looking at him, he looks like Uncle Drew.
Yep.
Alright, let's get into this next game. We got the Grizzlies and the Kings. Guess who won this game?
The Grizzlies, right?
Yeah, the Grizzlies. 9-5.
Yeah, I mean, good game from both of the teams. I mean, the Kings, I mean, that was a good game from them. Then just handled the game. I mean, when we look at this, the stat board, the starters played most of the game.
Yeah, I think this game might have had the Rookie of the Year. If you look at it, you had a great rookie in Jaren Jackson going up against another great rookie. What's his name? Duke dude. Let me see. Sorry, I'm Marvin Bagley. Stupid, I'm stupid. Yeah, but Marvin Bagley and Jaren Jackson, one of them was drafted very high and has high expectations. The other one was drafted a little lower, but still is playing very well. Now, which one of these teams do you think has a record over 500?
Sacramento.
The answer is both of them.
Oh.
Sacramento is 8-7. Memphis is 9-5. These are two teams that I guess are supposed to be good, but I'm not really sure. We've seen them have abysmal seasons, both of them recently, but we've also this year they're putting up very good numbers.
They both are, and that's why they have a good part in these rookies. They got lucky with the good draft picks. They're the lottery picks. Jared Jackson, he scored 27 in this one. Right?
Yeah, you got a rookie leading your team in scoring. He's got a bright future.
And now this team, it's confusing to me what they're doing because they have Marvin Bagley, a power forward on the bench, and they got Angelica is the starter. So now I'm questioned because they have two shooting guards. They don't have one center. I say you put two tall guys two forwards instead of three guards. Because Marvin Bagley, he's forward, but he handles the ball better than most people can.
Yeah, he's a very good forward, especially at handling the ball. So he could be very good for this team. Now, the next game we're gonna get into is the Nets and Wizards. Nets are another team that's looking pretty good, while the Wizards had the worst start I've ever seen.
They haven't been themselves. John Wall, he's good. Bradley Beal, he's good. They need a sustainable run when it comes to. You look at all the rebounds, and Howard has most of them. But
17 rebounds for Dwight Howard.
That's a total of 12, 13, 32 rebounds for this entire team compared to the Nets, who had less. But the rebounds, the rebounds, they're not struggling with. What they're struggling with is handling the ball, letting these rebounds into a successful drive.
Yeah, that they've been playing pretty good here. But yeah, you're right about that. Now next game we're gonna get into the Timberwolves and Trailblazers.
What a good game! Jimmy Butler just left this team. You went to the Trailblazers, and what's the Trailblazers record again?
They're 10-5.
Compared to the Minnesota Timberwolves, without Jimmy Butler, that's a good win. That's a good win.
I think the Timberwolves have as good of a home court advantage as anybody in the league right now. They're 7-1 at home and 0-8 on the road.
That is why they got lucky. That's why they need to get better on the road. It's going to be challenging knowing that you don't have one of the best shooting forwards in the league on your team anymore. What do you want? But you have to wonder, why did they want him to leave? We'll get into that later.
Yeah, we definitely will. That's a big topic these days. I don't think they're going to be able to come back from that. We've seen them really struggle after almost rebuilding. It's weird because this is more than just a low stretch. I think their defense is clearly suffering a lot from the absence of him. So we'll see if they're ever able to recover, and if so, what it will look like.
We will, and their defense hasn't been the same without Kevin Love.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Anthony Towns can't do all the rebounding on the team.
You think about if they had Kevin Love right now instead of Andrew Wiggins, Kevin Love and Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's get into this next one. We've got the Pacers and the Heat. That's a good game. A 6-8 team playing an 8-6 team, and turns out the team with the better record won.
Yeah, Pacers 8-point lead against the team out of Miami. For Miami, their lead scorer is Richardson. They're shooting one of their shooting forwards, and for the Pacers, the leading scorer is how do you pronounce it?
Bogdanovic.
He led the team in points and in minutes too. So Bogdanovic is coming a crucial part to this team, even though this team does not have. What do you think?
Yeah, I think getting rid of Paul George, people don't believe me when I say getting rid of Paul George made this team better. If you actually look at it, though, they allowed Victor Oladipo to become a very, very talented player. And I think that's something that you don't necessarily get in Paul George anymore. He's no longer that first option. So I think they won that trade, and you're really seeing them be very effective without that man, Paul George.
Yeah, indeed. And speaking of Jimmy Butler,
yeah, let's get into his game.
76ers and Utah Jazz. Philadelphia comes on top, 113-107. And let's look at the stats. Donovan Mitchell, performance excellent, 31 points in 34 minutes. And you don't see it often. 2 rebounds from a shooting. That's good.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert. And we're looking at the main reason why we tuned in this game. Jimmy Butler doing fine.
Yeah, he was in his home debut today, and he let the people of Philadelphia know that they made the right decision. I mean, 28 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists.
Yeah, I mean, this team, I don't think that Markelle Fultz ever back to his full potential after the injuries through the past years. So, I mean, you can put him as one of the worst players on this team, and that's saying something. You have your starting lineup: J.J. Redick, Joel Embiid, Wilson Chandler, Jimmy Butler. Those are 5 of the best players in the league.
Yep.
On your starting lineup. I can't imagine, like, this team, I'm not saying that they're automatically going to win the East with this team, although, I mean, it's kind of narrowed down to them and the Celtics.
You got to keep the Raptors in there, too.
So, you got 3 crucial teams that can make it to the playoffs. And I'm not saying they have an advantage knowing that they're 5 starters. As long as they don't get injured, they're going to win.
Yeah, if they have other 5 starters healthy, I think they have a chance to beat absolutely anybody right now. So it's just a matter of can they. Now let's get into our final game of the night. It is still going on. In fact, that would be the Bulls and Bucks. I think we all know that the Bucks are winning.
Yeah, they're first in the league in power rankings this
Yeah.
week. And this team is so successful because with authentic Giannis, Middleton, Bledsoe, Lopez, and Brogdon. I'm not saying Giannis is not underrated, but all four rest of them are.
Yeah, anytime you have a team where the least underrated player is Giannis Antetokounmpo, you know you're going somewhere.
Yeah, and a good win, a good future win for this team in this game. I mean, they got 7 minutes left in this game. They can handle it. And let's get in. I want you to talk about Duke, okay? Because I got to be right back, okay?
Alright, so we're going to talk about Duke a little bit. Duke is one of the best teams in our league today. I mean, they're crazy. To see some guys running around on this team, it's just like, you wouldn't believe these guys are college. Like, actually, let's talk about this Fab Five that we got going on. It's been a big thing in the news because you're comparing it to Jalen Rose's Fab Five, and of course he doesn't like it. But there are many others to do. I mean, you have Zion. Have you seen a picture of Zion? You gotta look at a picture of Zion, then come back and tell me that he should not be in the NBA right now. Because he's like 6'9", 240. He's built like LeBron. So, I think that is something we often miss, how big he is and how he could be a current impact to a lot of NBA teams if he played right now. If you put him in the NBA right now, I think that he could be a legitimate player on a lot of teams, and he could lead a lot of teams to wins. Yeah, he got offered. I'm just looking around at Zion's stuff. He got offered a football scholarship. That doesn't surprise me. You look at Zion, you got RJ Barrett and Cameron Reddish running around with him. That's the really scary part. Is that he's not the only one. You look around, and that's their whole team. So, it's hard to argue with Duke. And, when, our man Max gets back, we're going to get into the conversation of, do you think Duke could beat any NBA team? Do you think Duke could beat an NBA team? If you put if you put Duke's team in the NBA, are they going to win a game? And you go through this a lot in college football too, with a couple years ago, it would be Browns versus Alabama, and everybody would be like, oh, Alabama's so much better. They're smoking everybody by 60, and the Browns haven't won a game in forever. So, it's a very interesting argument. We're going to get into that when Max gets back.
I'm back.
Okay, so Max, we're going to talk about one of the hottest topics there is. Who do you think would win if you put Duke up against the worst NBA team? You can take any NBA team you want. Do you think Duke would be able to beat any team in the NBA?
Well, looking at I have my NBA team list right now out. And would you say that the worst team right now is... I mean, what would you say your pick for the worst team in the league would be?
The Cavs.
The Cavs? Okay.
Yep.
My pick would be... Interesting. Tough. I would say Mavericks from Dallas.
I like the Mavericks, though. I think the Mavericks are actually a team with a lot of potential. If you look around, they've got Dennis Smith as a point guard, and you got Luka Doncic as your shooting guard. These are two very young players that you have locked up for at least 2.5 more years apiece. And these, I mean, they're really good. Are you gonna act like you don't think they could beat anybody? Like, I feel like, especially, I think the difference maker here is Luka Doncic, because he is a pro and he's been a pro. Even if he's not an American pro, he's been a European pro, and that means something. It's still being a pro. And because of that, I don't think that the Mavericks would be able to beat the Duke. At the same time, though, if you look at Zion Williamson, anytime you just look at Zion Williamson, he'll make you change your mind.
Yeah, but like, I'm not saying that they can't beat anybody in the Mavs. I'm just saying when it comes to Duke is better, in my opinion. So, Duke has won every single game that they've had so far.
That's true. That's true.
And that's Kentucky, the Army, and Eastern Michigan.
Two of those teams suck. Just saying.
Well, Kentucky, everybody thought they were gonna lose, but like this lineup that they have.
Yeah, they went out and beat an Army team that I think everybody would agree is better than them. Or did I say Army? Kentucky. They beat a Kentucky team.
The top 3 prospects going that are freshmen on this team. Yeah, Zion, RJ Barrett, and Cam Reddish. Yeah, I know most of you have not heard of Cam Reddish, but he's a beast too.
You should have heard of Cam Reddish. If you don't know, now you know. He's a very talented player.
Yep, he is. And let's talk. Duke-related subject. We'll get into that pretty much every single episode. But let's talk about Bol Bol, the 7'3" freshman. What do you think it is?
He scares me. Because, you know Manute Bol, 7'8" or whatever. He was extremely talented. But he couldn't shoot. So there was an element to him that he didn't have. But in the 21st century, everybody can do everything. And that's so annoying because now, not just is this Bol 7'3", but don't shy away from that 3-point shot. He can shoot too. So
yeah, he's not just meant for his height. He's an overall amazing basketball player. And that's saying something. He's 7'3". I know I'm not saying that his height is the only thing good about him, but he's 7'3" and is a freshman.
Yeah, that means something. It makes him extremely hard to guard. Like, what are you supposed to guard against? Because whatever you try to guard against, he's going to do the exact opposite. And he's also going to succeed if you haven't noticed.
He can jump over you, for crying out loud, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean...
And also, like, the only con with this guy is that his weight might be an issue. Because, like, he has such a thick body. Like, you know, like, in the NBA, the most relatable player right now is Kristaps Porzingis to this guy.
Yeah.
He's tall, young, and he's skinny, too.
7'3", skinny, and can shoot. Both of those guys are. That's extremely scary though.
Yeah, and while we're in college basketball, let's just look at top 5 prospects.
All right.
Hold on, I'm looking at my list. Okay, hold on. Okay. So, first. It says the prospect list, top 5. Ready?
Yes.
It says Bull Bull.
Okay.
That's number 1. Number 2, pretty sure it says Zion.
Yeah.
Number 3, it said Cam Reddish. And number 4, it said RJ Barrett.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me. The
And also, I'm pretty sure it said Nasser Little too. The North Carolina freshman.
oh yeah.
And they're pretty much the best players are freshmen. But that shows you that how fast NCAA basketball can change. Because, North Carolina, they were at top for a while. Villanova, they were at top for a while. But those players left because of the 4 year. So the thing about this is it's hard because
yeah, you only get somebody
it's
for
hard because for 4 years if they're not redshirted.
yeah, you only get them to play for 4 years, so it's very hard to try to build a dynasty. Unless you have what the Alabama football team has, where you've been so good for so long, but that's where all the 5-star prospects are going.
Yeah. And let's go back into the NBA, okay? Because I mean, you know the Warriors better than anybody else I know. What happened during the KD Draymond streak? You're the only one that can explain it.
Yeah, my brother is gonna be coming in a second.
Talk about that.
Yeah, he knows it better than me. To be honest, but I know a little bit, so I think the basic gist of it is basically, so did you see the game? Max. Uh-oh. Did I break something? Okay, I gotta get Max back on here. Alright, I accidentally hung up on him. My bad. Hi, Max. Sorry about that. I broke it. Alright, so what we were talking about. We're talking about the Warriors. Did you actually see the game?
I did not.
Okay, so at the end of the fourth quarter, there's it's a tie game, or it's a tie game, and this is KD time, of course. I don't know, you don't live in the Bay Area, so I'm not sure if you get this, but down the stretch in the fourth quarter, we give the ball to KD and he gets a bucket. That's the offensive game plan. So, because of this, KD's calling for the ball. Draymond's like, no, I got this. We're pushing this fast break. Draymond turns it over, and KD's livid, because he's like, that was my ball! You mean? You should have given me the ball. And I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, Draymond makes that play 8 out of 10 times. Anyways, I'm not part of this. So he gets super mad at Draymond for not giving him the ball. He's yelling at him. He's like, dude, that was my ball. You should give me the ball. And Draymond's just like, dude, we won without you. We don't need you to get the ball. We don't even need you on this team. So he basically said that he was unnecessary and he could just leave. And he also used some profanity in that process.
Okay, and that's the first round. And let's get into Chris.
It's gonna be 30 seconds. You can just talk. I'm gonna get my brother. He'll be in here in 30 seconds.
Okay, and while that's happening, happened with the Rockets and Carmelo Anthony, and where I think Carmelo Anthony stands in the NBA at this point. Carmelo Anthony and the Rockets have parted ways, and they are not playing with each other. Carmelo's not on the Rockets anymore. So, where do you think, where do I think Carmelo Anthony is going to go? If he's going to get picked up by the end of the season. I would not be surprised. Not be surprised if he goes to the Spurs. Okay? The Spurs. Or the Clippers right now. I would not be surprised if that happened.
There's an old saying in Tennessee. I know
So,
Texas probably.
that's my take on it.
Shame on.
The NBA can change in an instant.
Shame on you.
Snap. And
We can't get
that's
fooled
just
again.
how it is. That's just why most people like it. Yeah. You could go to the Pistons, fine. But I only pretty much see him, Drew.
Yep.
I said that I only see Carmelo Anthony going to the Spurs or the Clippers right now. Where do you see him going?
I could definitely see him going to the Lakers. The Lakers are one of the most underrated destinations because I think that Carmelo could really benefit from his friendship with LeBron. And I think that could affect his ability to play for the Lakers. I don't think he would go to the Clippers for that reason. Because I think most people have choose one or the other LA team that they kind of want to go to and don't really want to go to both. And I think for him, it's going to be the Lakers. I do agree with the Spurs. I think every sport kind of has a retirement home. It's kind of like where you go when you're just old and need to try to produce even at an old age, and that's what the Spurs did it first. That's what the Spurs are. Then you have teams like the Patriots in football. Well, they'll put together a couple of guys that are pretty old and still have a good team. I mean, if it's not enough for you, just prove it. You can just prove it by looking at their roster and seeing, isn't their quarterback is like 40. So, yeah, that's my opinion. My brother's gonna be in a couple minutes, but until then, let's talk. We'll come back to the Warriors topic. Let's see what else can we cover.
Let's cover the Nuggets and Sue Bird.
Okay, Sue Bird, that's a good topic.
Well, she just became part of the franchise called the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, she's a member of the front office. That's a very interesting place for her to be put. I don't know exactly what her role is going to be, but I assume it has something to do with general managing or coaching. So that's I think an interesting department. We'll see if it works.
We will. And and she's in the front office. She's part of the staff. Okay. Now, what I'm interested in right now is how will this affect how will this change the Nuggets, and how will it not? How will it benefit them, and how will it not benefit them?
Well, I think that NBA players in general bring a very interesting perspective to the NBA because they're less vertically gifted, and because of that, they actually, I think, are better at creating offense. So I think she could be a very good coach, teaching people more about the fundamentals and how to get a normal bucket where there's a lot of three balls and splash and all this stuff in the current NBA that I think a WNBA's perspective could be interesting to have in a front office. So,
And she is the president of basketball operations for the Nuggets. That is her role.
that's a big deal. That's like the boss of the general manager. So that's a big deal. She's making all basketball operations. That should be fun. I think this is good. Not only is this actually very interesting, but this could be the way in for some WNBA players who have bigger aspirations of being in the NBA. This could be.
You gotta talk about LeBron passing Wilt Chamberlain's record. I mean, you know him. He doesn't really care about it because that's LeBron. He's not the type of guy that's worried about any record. He's doing it because he loves the game and the game loves him.
Yeah, the one thing that always interests me about LeBron actually is people act like, oh, he's so great, he's the best player of all time. And I'm not going to argue, he probably is. But wasn't he supposed to be that? Like, he was straight out of high school. He was supposed to be extremely good. So, I'm not sure if giving him a pass like that and just saying, okay, you're one of the best of all time now. I'm not saying that others weren't. Actually, it's not completely false. I mean, if you compare Michael Jordan to LeBron, one of the big things that stands out is the expectation levels. Michael Jordan, a third pick, he's clearly talented, but, I mean, LeBron, first pick, straight out of high school, had all the hype. Like, he was supposed to do this.
Yeah. He was, and that is why he's 5th overall in scoring. And
Yeah.
let's just do the math here, going down the list of top 10 in all-time scoring, and it goes like this. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Wilt Chamberlain, Dirk, Shaquille O'Neal, Moses Malone, and Elvin Hayes. And if you didn't notice, the number 4 is Michael Jordan. And I just want to see how far away.
Alright, so we have our guest here. We have Chris on site here today. So, Chris, we're going to get into 2 topics. Let's start with the Warriors and what went down earlier this week with the Warriors. We're having some trouble getting another chair in here. One of the chairs, like, broke, and then, yeah, you can use my chair. Here, I'll stand.
To tell you, Michael Jordan is 867 points ahead of LeBron James in all-time scoring.
Yeah, 867. LeBron's gonna get that this year. Like, not even close. He's hands down getting that this year. Like, 867, that's like 12, 13 points a game. Now, keep in mind, that's more like 15 points a game because LeBron's going to sit half of that. But still.
However, so it's Michael is next, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw a stat the other day that said if LeBron averages, I think, around 27, 28 points a game for the next 24 games or something like that, he will pass Michael Jordan against the Bulls. So
that would be very interesting. I feel like if he's anywhere close, like within 70 points, he'll get it in that game. Like, it doesn't even have to be that close. If he's within 100, he'll pull a will if he needs to.
867 points. And enough about points. Let's get into some of the real action that we've been waiting for. Chris, what happened with KD, Draymond Green?
Okay. So this has been, for obvious reasons, one of the biggest stories in the NBA this past week, because I mean, you saw two guys having what for the Warriors is an uncharacteristic mishap, I would say. The type of drama that usually you don't run organizations such as the Warriors or the Spurs or something like that. You'd expect this to come from more of a mess of an organization, for example, the Cavs or something like that, right?
Disrespect.
So,
it's not wrong, but it is disrespectful.
Usually you don't expect this from the Warriors, right? But so I think that's part of the reason why it was such a big story, most of the reason. But so essentially I'm gonna break it down for you. What happened was, for any of y'all that don't know, Draymond Green took the ball out of the basket on a rebound. So with like 6 seconds to go on the clock in a tie game against the Clippers in LA, and he dribbled the ball down the court and ended up turning it over and not getting a shot up at the buzzer, meaning that the game would go to overtime. Kevin Durant was next to Draymond Green when Draymond got the rebound and called for the ball. So, obviously, Kevin Durant, with Steph Curry out, is by far the best player on the Warriors, and he should be taking the last shot. So Kevin obviously was frustrated that he did not get the ball. He then proceeded to yell at Draymond Green, saying, "You need to give me that ball, essentially. You know I am here. You need to give me that ball in that situation," which is correct. I mean, that is who they want with the ball, with the game on the line. And then Draymond took exception to the comment and responded with some expletives, and also saying that to KD that they did not need him to win, they won without him, and he even told Kevin Durant to leave. And so that is why he received the suspension, because the Warriors deemed that his comments to Kevin saying that he should leave were detrimental to the team. Makes sense, right? And so that's what the whole argument was about. And basically, there's a lot of drama in the media saying that there's no way Kevin Durant stays after that, and various other things. But yeah, that's the breakdown of what happened. My opinion on that is that Draymond Green is certainly in the wrong in this situation, because we know this in sports. Their best players always get better treatment. They have more leeway in terms of what they can and cannot do and can and cannot say. Kevin Durant is your best player, especially when Steph Curry's out. He's definitely your best player.
Is Draymond Green not up there, though?
Draymond Green is the fourth most talented player on that team. Maybe fifth. Yeah, fifth. Sorry, I forgot about Cousins. Fifth most talented player. Huh? Cousins? Oh, who do I think is leaving? Cousins is definitely gone. The Warriors know that. Boogie knows that. This has been a part of the plan
Cousins
from
is
day
just
one.
a summer intern.
Exactly. He's here for a year to try and get a ring, play well so that he can get a big contract. The Warriors never expected him to come back next year. He never expected to come back. It's been a mutual thing that they both understand from the beginning. I do not think Klay will leave. I think Klay's a humble guy that is perfectly fine with scoring 19 or 20 points a game on the best team in the NBA. I don't think he has any problem with that. Yes, he could go to another inferior team and score 27, probably. Maybe, but he wouldn't be able to compete at the level that he is right now playing the Warriors.
I think the only place Klay would go, if given the chance, would be Seattle, and there's currently no team in Seattle, so I don't see him leaving.
Yeah, I think the Lakers, though, that would be a perfect fit for Klay. Klay playing with LeBron, that would be a very good duo, I do think. But I think Klay is just so happy where he is right now. He doesn't see the need to go anywhere else. He probably wants his money, but I don't think he's inclined to leave. Draymond isn't on contract this year, but next year I could actually see Draymond leaving, because Draymond has a lot of pride, as he showed by dribbling the ball when he should have given it to KD. Kevin Durant, I'm very on the fence about, because I want to believe that he wants to stay. But on the other hand, especially with what Draymond said, you have to understand that he may or may not be in a place that he wants to stay for the rest of his career. There are very attractive options around the league that could sign him. So we'll see on KD. I think he will stay because I think that the front office will literally do anything he wants in order to have him stay. Apart from like trading Stephen Curry, anything else that he wants them to do, they'll probably find a way to do it.
I think that he will stay because he has 90 games, no, 80 games, including playoffs, to make amends with Draymond before he's in free agency. And I feel like by that time they'll be buddies again, and that will be the least of their problems. And I also think he really likes the Bay Area for financial reasons, because you have Silicon Valley, which is a huge moneymaker. So, businessly speaking, it's also a good place for him to stay.
Those are both very valid points, I agree. Especially on the one, especially on the business one, you're seeing Andre Iguodala, Steph Curry, and KD especially do a lot of business in the Bay Area, so that's a good spot to be, especially towards the end of your career. And then on the Draymond Green one, you saw them throw a couple passes and assists to each other in their first game back last night, even though it was a really bad game overall.
Yeah, I know for a fact that none of those assists were on threes.
The Warriors starters, by the way, did not make a three-pointer last night. That's what Drew's referring to. But the Warriors' two forwards, they seemed to be on very good terms last night. They were talking, chatting it up, patting each other on the butt, all types of normal teammate behaviors. So I'm not really worried about that relationship on a long-term situation. Draymond's an emotional guy, but I think KD, at this point, he's heard it all. Draymond's not the first person to tell him that he's not essential to the Warriors winning. He's gonna be fine, I think. But
okay, I have one question before we get to our next topic. Do you think that this would have been a totally different situation had Draymond made the shot?
Yes, because the game would have been over, and that would be a buzzer beater, right? And it doesn't matter if Draymond makes the shot. It's just if Draymond hits whoever else for a layup or a three-pointer,
if that play was made.
If the play is made and the game winner is hit, I think Kevin Durant keeps this quiet because obviously he thinks he's the best player in the league, which he has a good reason to. I don't think he is, but when you're one of those top guys, you have to have that type of confidence. So he thinks he's the best player in the league. He thinks he should get the ball in that situation, and he's right. So I think KD would still, in the back of his mind, be like, I should have gotten that ball. I should have been the one making that play. But had Draymond or hit the game winner or dish the ball to somebody else to make the game winner, there is no way that this is a conversation that we're having, because they would never yell at each other. Perhaps KD would bring it up in the locker room, be like, hey, Draymond, great play, but that should be my ball.
How about if they won?
With Draymond's emotions high, right, you're going to have, or with Draymond's emotions on a positive note, right, it's like he's happy at that time after the game winner, he's not going to come back and yell at him the way he did.
How about if they won in overtime?
So I think that, so you're saying the same reaction or the same events still happen at the end of regulation?
Yeah, but
right? They
just won the game in overtime.
Well, I think it's pretty much the same result because I don't think anyone really cares about the win or loss anymore because the event, it happened right after the game ended, right after regulation ended. So they were yelling at each other on the bench before overtime. So I think that in that case, you're going to see you're gonna see the same altercation happen. Then just they play better in overtime and end up playing out with the win, which would.
But do you think it would have escalated in the locker room, and which is really why they couldn't just keep it in the organization because of these strong words that were exchanged? Do you think that would have been they would have been able to keep quiet?
No. The exchange that where Draymond said that KD should leave, I'm pretty sure happened on the court.
Oh,
because they were yelling at each other on the bench. So people saw that, which is the reason that it became a big story.
All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Let's get to our second topic.
Let's give a minute of sports in general and wrap this thing up.
Well, we gotta talk about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler. You gotta do Jimmy Butler.
Chris, let's talk about Jimmy Butler. Chris, what's your take on it?
So, Jimmy Butler, first thing I think that needs to be established about this trade is that I think that the Timberwolves really didn't do very well for Jimmy Butler in that they traded an all-star player and they didn't get any real value back for him. I guess they got a tiny bit of depth, but that's in exchange for their best player probably. And I don't think that's obviously that they lost that trade, and especially because apparently they were going to be able to get 4 first-round picks from the Houston Rockets, and I don't think you can pass up 4 first-round picks for Dario Saric and Robert Covington. That just doesn't seem like like those two. It seems like the first-round picks would be way more valuable, but
Being a Warriors fan, I'm happy that they traded him to the East.
Oh yeah, me too. But my other reaction to the trade was I think Philadelphia, that's a strong move for them because now trading for that third star, they become a legitimate big 3. And I actually did a report on this last year in school. Once you have those guys, where you have guys that play front court and back court, then once you surround them with some good bench depth and some decent supporting cast members, you're going to be able to build a really, really strong team. So I think that Philadelphia, if they can go out in free agency and get other guys, similar to guys like Dario Saric and Robert Covington, where they can score a little bit off the bench, they can be 3-and-D guys, things like that. They can rebound. They can get those types of players to fill in the rest of the roster. I think that you're going to see a very, very good Philadelphia team that's going to contend.
All right. Let's see. What other elements to this trade are there?
What do you think about them this year?
The Timberwolves or the Sixers?
The Sixers this year.
I think that they are going... This makes a huge difference. You have a veteran on your team now, which they did not have before. And I think all teams that have had success have had some kind of veteran leadership recently. So I think this means a lot to how they're going to play this year. I think that they might meet their match in the semifinals or the conference finals because you've got 4 really good teams. You've got the Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, and the Raptors. And I'm not saying that these teams are all good enough to go to the NBA Finals necessarily. They could all, but I think the really scary thing is any of them could beat any of them. So
yeah, I agree.
You might not feel so safe as the Sixers if you have to go play the Bucks. Even if you're a better team and you're the 1 seed and they're the 4 seed. And then you win that game and you go play the Raptors, who I think are a very different team from last year. They have sucked in the playoffs. They're literally like, let's see, never mind. I forgot my analogy. No, they're the Nationals of basketball. They're literally the Nationals of basketball. But,
yeah.
I feel like, they're a different team now because they have a new coach, a new star, and I think their new star has proven success in the playoffs. And I think because of that, they're a threat to anybody in the playoffs now in a way they weren't. So, I think that it's a really hard road for the finals for any of those 4 teams because they could all beat each other. But, so I don't think you can really say this team is going to the finals, but the Sixers have put themselves in a prime position.
Quick note on Milwaukee today. Giannis Antetokounmpo hit 2 out of his 4 3-pointers. If he's hitting 3-pointers at a decent rate down the stretch of this season, they're going to be really, really tough to stop. Boston versus Toronto, they played each other. Boston won by 7 in overtime. Kyrie Irving went for 43. Jason Tatum for 21 on 8 of 13 shooting. And Gordon Hayward had 4 steals, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, along with 15 points.
I wonder how many of Kyrie's points came in the fourth quarter, because I bet it was like
19.
Yeah. That's what Kyrie does. He's good, and then the fourth quarter comes around, and he has a second game in the fourth quarter.
And that's what he does in the playoffs as well, where he'll take over. You can't stop him. I mean, as a Warriors fan, I witnessed that in Game 5 of the Finals in 2016, where he had 41. He just took the game over. Obviously, LeBron played well too, but Kyrie scored just as many points on a better shooting percentage. Kyrie was absolutely getting buckets out there. Drew's watching a clip right now of a game that I was watching earlier, where Kyrie is just taking over in the fourth quarter and in overtime, and he won Boston the game today.
He just depressed Drake.
No, Drake has a lot of other reasons to be depressed.
Well, thank you, Chris,
Kiki doesn't love him.
for your amazing help, and we appreciate it. Thank you for you doing your part in the first episode. And do you have any shout-outs you want to do?
Let's see. Shout out to Eli Lesser. He is gonna be announcing the new head pretty soon. That should be fun. Shout out to, let's see, who else gets a shout out? Shout out to Chris for being a guest star. Shout out to Russell and Young Ginge. Let's see who else. I don't really know. I'm not giving shout outs to everybody today, but thank you so much for tuning in.
Go follow Basketball Finest on Instagram if you have Instagram. Feel free to like any of the posts. We post incredible content that we talk about in the show. If you guys looked at the new posts this week, we talked about those, and feel free to comment because we love your questions and we would love to answer them during the show every Friday of every week. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. We need to know your opinion. We'd love to hear it. Thank you so much. We're going to be doing this at 8:15 to 8:30 every Friday evenings. One more shout out I got to give. Shout out to everybody who's affected by the fire. Both the Camp Fire in Northern California and the one down south. I hope you guys are looking good. I know a lot of schools got canceled today because of the smoke up here. They're even considering canceling school next week. Kind of hope they do.
Sports haven't been played in like weeks up here.
Yeah, the Cal-Stanford game got postponed tomorrow. That's a rivalry game. You don't just postpone rivalry games. So I hope everybody that's affected by this is safe. And this is Chris, Drew, and Max. Thank you so much for tuning in. Signing off.